In the previous video, we learnt how money gets created by private banks, as debt, backed only by the promise to repay. We learnt that the same money can be relent many times, and that each transaction demands interest, which is new money that has to be created by banks as debt. We are now in a paradox where the supply of money and the amount of debt must always grow, yet the world we live in remains finite. This is a serious problem, and not the only one. Let us go back all the way to the origins of money, as a promissory note. Instead of giving you 1 gold bar, I give you a piece of paper you can exchange at a bank for 1 gold bar. In time, these promises became as useful as real money. Then they simply became what money is, with no bar of gold to back it. Promises are currency, and when you take out a loan, what the bank has got in exchange is a promise from you to repay it. Now, your bank may not be able to use that promise to buy things off Amazon, but banks are happy to trade those promises amongst themselves, usually many promises from many people packaged up as something called a derivative. Your loans have an economic life entirely separate from the money lent to you. This selling of derivatives was one of the causes of the 2007 financial crash. Banks made bad or subprime loans to people who could not repay them. They then packaged these up with a handful of good loans in a derivative and sold them as if they all were good. It's as if you bought a box set of Star Wars that only had 1, 2, 3 and 5 in it. Derivatives aren't some small part of the global economy. It dwarfs the value of actual goods and services and is only rivaled in value by the currency exchange market. The entire financial system relies on trust, and when banks lost trust that the derivatives they were trading were of the quality they were sold as, this lack of trust spilled into the rest of the economy. Perfectly creditworthy companies and individuals could not get the loans they needed. There were runs on some banks, and since our economic system relies on these private banks, the only way for trade and business to continue as normal was for government to step in and save them. Governments used a process called quantitative easing in which they lent money to the banks, sometimes by buying bonds from them. The hope was to restore trust in the banks and give them more money to lend out to others. But unfortunately, banks are businesses, not public services, and so it took a long time and an awful lot of money before any of it started to trickle out to where it was intended to go. Because private banks are the primary creators of money and are relied on not just by individuals but large businesses and governments, the failure of one of the big banks would likely lead to a domino effect that would end with the collapse of the entire system. Some banks simply became too big to fail. A token amount of effort was made to split some of these banks into sets of smaller operations that could then safely fail, but the banks resisted. We are not in a significantly different position now as we were in 2007. The initial question posed by this series of videos was, what is money? Money is debt. Its supply comes from loans and can be used only because there is trust that those loans will be repaid. Money is needed because it is the only measure of value that we have to use for trade and for wealth. Money is created by private commercial banks. There is currently about $75 trillion of it, and there is effectively nothing stopping banks from doing whatever they like with it.